Welcome to today's chit chat. I took a few weeks off to just focus on my personal life. A lot of you know that I am engaged and going to be married in 46 days. So it's a very exciting time in my life. And so I took a couple weeks off, but I am back with a 3-week series for you today. And we're going to really kind of dive in over the next few weeks into some of the more deeper issues that I notice come up for women with their bodies. We're going to be talking about a variety of topics. So I'm really excited that you're here listening today. And what we're going to start with, what we're going to chat about today is why the sooner you give up chasing a thinner body, a smaller body than you currently have, the faster you will experience happiness. And I'm going to break down why this is. I'm going to share about my own experience, and I'm also going to share about some of my clients' experiences and things that I saw having been a nutritionist and a health coach for 5 years. So part of the reason that I became an intuitive eating counselor and a body attunement coach is because I saw what pursuing weight loss did to women over time. I saw how it affected their mental health, their physical health, and their emotional health long term. I think it's very easy to think about a weight loss goal or getting thinner or making your body smaller or more toned or whatever in the short term. And it seems very appealing and it seems very healthy and it seems very accessible and doable and like something that you should spend your time doing. But what I've discovered is that long term, that pursuit has a negative cumulative effect on your life, and that there's actually a better way to approach our relationship to body and food. One thing I want you to really think about is this kind of automatic thought pattern that happens for us as women because of the culture that we've grown up in, because of the media, because of beliefs that we've internalized, because of things that other people have told us, that thinness equals happiness. So just silently, wherever you're at listening to this, raise your hand for yourself if you have ever thought that a thinner body, a smaller body, a more toned body, a less lumpy body would equal greater happiness for you. I know that I had this thought, and I know that a lot of women have this thought because I've literally talked to hundreds of women, probably close to 400 women over the past 5 years that I've worked as a nutritionist and health coach. I've spoken to women and really heard that they connect a smaller body with greater happiness. They connect a smaller body with greater confidence, with strength, with energy, with feeling good in their skin, therefore happiness for them. And one of the things that I discovered both personally and professionally was that a smaller body and chasing a thinner body did not actually lead to long-term happiness. And in fact, it could actually cause the opposite effect, like a paradox. It not only didn't cause greater happiness, but it actually worsened depression. It worsened anxiety. It worsened mental and emotional health. One thing, if you're feeling challenged by this topic, which it's very normal to, first of all, if you want to lose weight, if you want to maintain a thinner body, if you have a fear of gaining weight, if you have a fear of not losing the weight, this message may be very uncomfortable for you, or you may just experience resistance to it. You may also experience like, well, I don't think that, I don't believe that. That's easy for you to say. You may experience a variety of these types of thoughts, which is very normal. One thing that I invite you to do is, if you notice that resistance coming up, to think about, well, what is your actual lived experience? If you have been somebody who has not had a healthy relationship with your body and food over life, right? If this has been decades in the making, if you've been dealing with this for a while, just think about your lived experience. Has pursuing weight loss or trying to maintain a thin body, has that actually led to deep joy, deep fulfillment, long-lasting happiness? No, okay? No, which is why you're here, because you're like, I don't have a healthy relationship with body and food. I've been a yo-yo dieter. I've gone up and down on the scale. I'm not happy. And no matter how thin I am or what diet I pursue or what I do, I still have body dissatisfaction. So I invite you, if you notice resistance coming up, to just think about, okay, what actually is my lived experience? It's also helpful to look around you and look at other women and like, what is their lived experience actually? I know for me that I look around now with very open eyes to women who are pursuing dieting, fasting, different protocols, different rules with their food. And I'm able to zoom out and kind of be like, you know what? That actually doesn't seem that fun. That person actually doesn't seem as happy as they might present on their social media. Or I know that long term, that's not going to be a healthy thing for them to do. So I invite you to really think about your lived experience and to think about the true lived experience of other women around you. I know I've been around enough women who've been pursuing dieting in one form or another, whether it's just dieting mentality or dieting behaviors, to actually see long-term the consequences that it has on their life, okay? Something that really impacted me was discovering that thinness did not actually lead to happiness, fulfillment, or joy. And I know for me that look, you may look at me and be like, Heather, you're still in a thin body. You still have thin privilege. You still enjoy the benefits of being in like a thin body for society's standards. And I really understand that. If that's the case for you and you're having those thoughts, what I'd invite you to do is make sure that you're following other people who teach food freedom, who teach HAES, who teach intuitive eating, who are in a variety of sizes and shapes of body, and a body shape and size that's closer to maybe where you're at, if you notice those thoughts coming up for you, okay? I just want to normalize that those thoughts are normal if you have that. But I also want to normalize that women of all different sizes and shapes, no matter how thin they are or how large they are, they can experience profound body dissatisfaction and the corresponding mental health effects that has. So I want to just really help you see that size does not equal happiness. I was at one of my thinnest weights and my anxiety was the worst it had ever been. I was struggling with depression, isolation, loneliness. I was chronically cold, and yet I was complimented for my thinness. I was told that my thinness was healthy. I was told that it was something to aspire to. And so I just want you to really start to confront that belief that you have in your mind that thinness equals happiness. Okay? Hey, Simone. So short term, when you pursue a dieting goal, if you try to make your body smaller, you may experience a short-term, short-lived happiness. Think about it like winning the lottery. You hear about those people who win the lottery and they're very happy for a period of time, and then they spend all the money, they lose all the money, and they're just kind of like back at rock bottom. I want you to think about pursuing weight loss and dieting as a similar type of effect, that you can experience a short-term satisfaction or happiness from shrinking your body, but then what it can require to maintain that physique will lead to unhealthy mental, emotional, and physical behaviors and habits, and it can really lead to destruction of your happiness, your social life, your sleep, your hormones, all types of things. So I want you to always be thinking about your long-term happiness, your long-term joy and fulfillment in life. And do you really want to get to the end of your life and be like, I spent it trying to make my body smaller or keep my body smaller? was that a worthwhile pursuit of my time on earth that I was given? Okay. So why I created my Body Attunement program, why I became an intuitive eating counselor, is because I saw over a period of 5 years of working as a nutritionist and health coach and women wanting to lose weight, I saw cumulatively, hey, this doesn't actually seem to be the best approach for women. Let's rethink what we're doing here, okay? Some of the things that I experienced as I was navigating living in a world that worships the thin ideal, living in my own experience where, I was somebody who had internalized the thin ideal and was pursuing it and maintaining it and wanting it and encouraging others to pursue it, is that I had a lot of fears, okay? I had a fear of, my body never looking good enough. I experienced that I never felt thin enough, which is a sign of disordered eating, a sign of something being off in your relationship to body and health, okay? So I also experienced body dissatisfaction despite thinness, which is why I'm here preaching and promoting that, like, hey, thinness actually doesn't equal happiness long term, okay? I experienced that my body was never good enough. Have you experienced that? So despite the working out, despite the eating healthy, there was still a constant experience of like not quite being good enough and just feeling very like emotionally exhausted and physically exhausted at pursuing this really impossible goal. And I want you to really understand that the thin ideal that you see promoted in the media, that you see promoted in magazines, TV, is something that is actually not attainable. And it's not even necessarily something that's a worthwhile goal. What's been really interesting for me as I have made this transition myself is now I see people in the media, or I see models, or I see actresses, and my first thought is often, whoa, they look very unhealthy. I can see their ribs. I can see their upper ribs popping out. And I had that experience when I was at my thinnest weight too, where I was like, this is not a good, healthy approach for your body. This is too thin. And we've correlated thin with health in our society too. So we think it's much healthier to be thinner than to be larger. Hey, it's better to be a little underweight than overweight. Like, people believe that and think that. Some other things that I experienced when I was chasing thinness was mood swings, anxiety, depression, isolation, loneliness. I also experienced insomnia, hormonal disruptions, and muscle loss, okay? So I just want to share all these things to really help kind of drive a wedge in between you thinking thinness equals happiness. One thing that I noticed with clients coming to me over the years was I would have women who were already thin, sometimes borderline underweight, wanting to be thinner. Or I'd have women who are normal weight, wanting to be thinner. And it really started to make me think deeply like, hey, I don't think this is healthy anymore for people. I don't think this is the right approach. And the problem is any pursuit of dieting can lead you down this path. So you think you're doing a good thing, but any pursuit of weight loss can actually trigger unhealthy dieting behaviors. So just so you know, 35% of people who start any form of dieting will progress into disordered eating, and another 30 to 45% of those people will progress into an eating disorder. So there's risks to pursuing shrinking your body that a lot of people don't talk about. Binge eating episodes are very common if you are pursuing thinness, overeating, feeling out of control around food, feeling preoccupied with food. All of these things are very normal experiences to have when you're chasing that thin ideal, okay? Now, if you're trying to make the transition from giving up chasing thinness, and you're like, you know what? I want to have a healthy relationship with body and food. my happiness is what's most important to me, my health is what's most important to me, and you're trying to make that switch, it can be very challenging. It can be very challenging to give up the pursuit of that thinner body that you correlate with greater health and happiness. It can be very challenging to rewire your beliefs and actually think about things in a new way. It's a paradigm shift for all of us, and it can create cognitive dissonance. It can really challenge your beliefs about yourself, the world, your worth, all these things. One thing that can be challenging for women is if you correlate thinness or having a smaller body with happiness, or a result that you want in your life, and you don't have that result yet, it's actually a way for you to avoid confronting what it actually is going to take for you to get that result while you blame it or think that dieting or being thinner is actually going to be the thing that helps you get that result. Does that make sense? It's a way to actually avoid responsibility for doing hard work in the areas of our life that are important to us. And I'll give you an example from my life. I know for many years that I thought, maybe if I was just a little bit thinner, maybe if I was just, a little bit more toned, I would finally attract a soulmate. I would finally attract love. And part of the reason I had this belief is because I internalized a comment that a man had made to me 15 years earlier where he said, if you just lost some fat off your thighs, you'd be really hot. And this guy was somebody who always kind of kept me at arm's length, who didn't let me in emotionally, who used me the way he wanted, but didn't actually give me what I wanted. And so in my mind, I'm internalizing his belief about me. And then I'm also connecting, if my body was different, then he would want me, right? So then I'm living with that belief. And this is just an example. You may not have this particular belief, but if you have an unhealthy relationship with body and food, if you're constantly on the yo-yo dieting train, then you also have some area of your life that you've connected the result that you want in life with your body. For example, I've worked with actresses who think, hey, when my body looks better, I'll get more auditions, right? So I want you to really understand that it can actually be a protective mechanism to think that a thinner body, a smaller body, a more toned body, a different body is going to give you the result that you want in life, because then you don't have to actually confront the truth of the matter and do the actual work that would produce the result. For me, I had to confront my own fear of rejection and being vulnerable. I had to put myself out there. I had to actually go meet people and be authentically myself and be vulnerably me. That was what was actually going to attract my soulmate and bring love into my life, not having less fat on my thighs. If you're not booking auditions and you think it's your body, hey, maybe you're just not a good actress, right? Or maybe you have a lot of skills to develop that you need to work on. This is an example of where we can actually give too much causality to our body in causing the results that we want in life, okay? So you might also kind of go through the experience of actual weight gain. So when you're healing your relationship with body and food, depending on where you currently are in relation to your set point, you could gain some weight. So you could have that fear of gaining weight. You could actually gain some weight. You could fear that your weight is going to affect the results that you have in life. You could fear not feeling good in your skin or being attractive, or just fear that you may gain and gain and gain weight. I know for me, I had all of these fears when I made the transition from a dieting mentality to a healthy relationship with food and body mentality, when I rejected the diet mentality, which is the first step towards healing, okay? So if you're experiencing fear of gaining weight, actual weight gain, fear of not being attractive, fear of not feeling good in your skin, fear of I just gain and gain and gain and gain and never stop gaining weight, I want you to know that I've experienced all those things and come out the other side, okay? So there is a way to deal with all of those fears and anxieties and come out the other side. And it really has to do with being fully attuned to your body, giving yourself unconditional permission to eat, allowing however long your healing is going to take, allowing that time, and then also learning tools for how to cope with your emotions with kindness. Okay, so there's some things that I really learned through this experience that I want to share with you, because it's always helpful to learn from a mentor or a coach or a teacher, right? Because like you can circumvent having to make the same mistakes to learn the lessons. And so my hope is that you can learn some of these lessons through my experience and save yourself time, energy, money trying to learn these things on your own that you can just kind of take from my experience. So number one lesson that I learned from this whole experience was that thinness doesn't equal happiness, that it's not actually the source of deep joy and fulfillment in life, okay? I learned that my body will actually settle at its set point where I'm eating intuitively, I'm eating a variety of foods that I enjoy, I'm listening to my hunger and fullness signals. I'm moving my body in ways that I enjoy that also work with my lifestyle and my energy. My body will actually settle at its set point. My set point may be higher than my ideal. My set point might be higher than society's ideal, and yours may be as well. But when you actually implement healthy practices and behaviors with body and food, then you will settle at that set point, okay? I learned that I can actually produce better results in my life when I'm not preoccupied with body and food. Not only was my body not the source of the results in my life, but actually when I stopped being preoccupied with body, with food, with pursuing weight loss, with trying to have a thinner body, I could actually experience better results in my life. I call this redirected energy, because without realizing it, if you are chronically dissatisfied with your body, if you are somebody who's pursuing trying to make your body smaller, then you are spending a tremendous amount of physical, psychic, emotional, mental energy trying to pursue that, okay? I learned that my physical health can actually improve through intuitive eating and can actually improve through weight gain. We've been so indoctrinated to think that thinness equals health. What I want you to really start to think about, and we're going to talk about this in my next video in this series, my next topic, what I want you to actually think about is it's behaviors that produce health. And weight is not a behavior, right? You don't actually have control over your weight. Have you noticed that? Okay, you don't have complete control over this thing. You do have control over behaviors that you take in life that can be health promoting. So my physical health actually improved through intuitive eating. My mental health improved through intuitive eating. This was a result that I wasn't even really trying for. It wasn't something that I thought I cared about. I just wanted to stop having binge eating episodes. That's why I pursued working with an intuitive eating counselor, is because I just wanted to stop having these episodes where I felt out of control around food, because it felt really like inconsistent for me to be a nutritionist and a health coach and promoting like healthy eating and having like binge eating episodes. So I wanted to solve that problem for myself. And that's why I sought out an intuitive eating counselor. But what I discovered was like, wow, this work is actually like profoundly improving my mental health and improving my anxiety and depression symptoms, okay? I also noticed that my spiritual life improved. So wherever you are on the spirituality spectrum, I work with people of all different faith backgrounds. You can be any place, but I noticed for me, my faith and my relationship with God really improved and got even stronger when I gave up pursuing dieting. And I was, again, able to direct that energy to other parts of my life that are very important to me, okay? I learned that my body is smart. My body is smart, your body is smart, and it actually knows what it needs from an energy perspective, from a taste preference perspective, from a movement perspective when you are fully attuned to your body. The reason that you may not know if you are hungry or can't stop when you're full is because you're disconnected from your body, which is what dieting culture, dieting mentality, and a history of dieting behaviors will create in you. So this journey is like a coming home to your body, where then you're getting really attuned with your body again and rebuilding that trust with your body, okay? Ultimately, what I learned from this process was body attunement. I actually gave one of my clients an assignment last week, which was to go pee when she felt that her bladder was full. And like, why would I give this as an assignment to one of my clients? Well, the reason I gave this as an assignment to one of my clients is because she is somebody who struggles to honor her self-care needs. She doesn't always prioritize her self-care needs. She gets busy with work, she gets busy with responsibilities, and she kind of puts those on the back burner. And so as women, if you have a tendency to like not go to the bathroom when you need to, that is a sign of actually not being attuned to your body and ignoring your body's signals, which will break trust with your body. So for her, I had a feeling that she did this behavior because I did it as well. I gave her that assignment to start connecting with her body. And this week I get to hear from her how she's doing with it. But that is the power of body attunement, that you are going to develop an ability to honor and trust your body's signals. And it's like an internal experience. It's not based on external rules, food rules, diet rules. It's you are the only one who knows if you're hungry or full. You're the only one who knows if you have to go pee, right? You're the only one who knows what type of food tastes good to you and what sounds good. So this process is about coming home to yourself and developing a lot of connection with yourself and your inner child. And that coming home to yourself is very powerful in the way it affects other areas of your life, okay? Thanks for tuning in today. I hope that this was helpful to you, that it inspired you, that it opened your mind to thinking about something. You know, there's so many diet culture messages out there, and sometimes I feel like my voice is so small trying to like shout this message out against all of the bombardment of diet culture messages that are out there. But I'm going to keep coming and sharing this with you. No matter how long it takes to have you understand the benefits of this, because I think it is such a profound and powerful tool that we have in our lives. So the next topic in this series, if you want to tune in, we're going to talk about whether or not you should focus on losing weight if you feel like you are unhealthy. Like if you feel like you are overweight or obese, if you think that you need to lose weight, if you've been told by your doctor that you need to lose weight, we're going to actually talk about whether or not that you should focus on losing weight if you think you're unhealthy. And I'm going to be coming at this from a lot of like scientific perspective, with both my experience working for 6.5 years as a clinical nurse, especially in the ER with very sick patients. I'm going to bring that science perspective to you about this. So it's going to be a great chat. So I look forward to talking to you then, and I will see you again soon. Thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode of the podcast. I missed you. I'm glad that I'm back and you're back. So thanks again for tuning in. If this episode spoke to you, if it impacted you in some way, I would love if you could just rate and review the podcast. Just pop down and leave a review on Apple Podcasts if that's where you listen to it. If you listen to it on Spotify, please share this episode with people in your life that you want to positively impact, because the more women that hear this message, the better that the whole experience for us as women will be if we start to challenge this pervasive diet culture message. So thanks for tuning in, and I will talk to you again soon.